Avengers Doomsday is said to have over 70 characters in the movie, and now with Lewis Pullman, who is the actor who plays Sentry in the MCU, he recently did an interview and he said that the Russo brothers won't let characters sit in the background, basically stating that each character that is in this movie is going to get the attention that they deserve. Now, obviously, some are going to get more than the others, but each character will be done justice. So, with the Avengers, the new Avengers that is, and then the Thunderbolts, or the Avengers with a Z, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Wakandans, the Catalicans, Loki and his team, Steve Rogers, people from the 828 universe, and who knows, maybe the 838 universe, characters from everywhere. You might be wondering, well, what exactly do I have to watch to be able to keep up with everything that is going on in Avengers Doomsday? Well, don't worry, we got you covered, thanks to a new report from an insider. Not too long ago, Alex Perez from thecosmiccircus.com was asked what would be the obligatory watches in order to prepare for Doomsday. And he gave us a list, and it's quite a list. It's a little unexpected, I would say, and I would throw my own in here and maybe take some out, but this is the list that he is talking about. So here is the list, starting with Avengers 2012. I think this is obviously a big one. This was kind of something you had to watch for Endgame as well, although I think they did a pretty good job at kind of putting the story right into it, going back in time. But if you didn't watch the first Avengers movie back then, or at any point in time, you didn't really get the fullness of that Endgame scene. And I assume that that's going to be the same thing for Avengers Doomsday. Also, Avengers Age of Ultron and Avengers Endgame. What's really interesting is Avengers Infinity War is not listed on here. But if you think about it, the deaths that were permanent really came in Avengers Endgame, and I believe it's more focused on Tony Stark than anything, and Captain America. And that end scene, well, the two end scenes with Tony Stark dying and Captain America going back and then returning as a very old man, that's obviously going to be the most important thing that you need to know. Avengers Age of Ultron, that's going to be important as well, because I think some scenes with Thor and possibly even Ultron appearing are possible, and we'll go back to Avengers Age of Ultron. So the next one is WandaVision. I really like hearing this because it makes me think that Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. We're starting to hear some more rumblings about this now, like Doctor Doom has some followers and some are actual witches. And we're hearing that the Scarlet Witch is going to return in some capacity, and it's not confirmed yet whether we're going to see her in Avengers Doomsday, but some insiders are saying that we will learn of her fate in Avengers Doomsday. That could mean we could see her there, or they can mention she's alive, or they could mention that she's dead, although I don't believe that's the route they're going to go. So looks like she's returning, so watch WandaVision. Also, Vision is confirmed to be at least in Avengers Secret Wars as well. So that's important. This one, I think, might be the most important one to watch on this list. Loki Season 1 and Loki Season 2. We learned so much about variants and the multiverse and what was originally going to be the next Avengers movie, Avengers the Kang Dynasty, with He Who Remains and Kang. They pivoted away from that, but all of the basic principles that they taught are basically the same. The multiversal war, all of the incursions, that's all really, really important. So if you haven't watched the first and, not or, but and the second season of Loki, you definitely need to. This one's quite interesting. What if season 2 and 3 does not mention season 1, but mentioning season 2 and 3 is where we kind of get into a multiversal team. Also, the Watcher getting involved, and we have actually heard rumblings that the Watcher will be getting involved in Avengers Doomsday and or Avengers Secret Wars. We're unsure which one at this point in time, but we have heard that Marvel might be throwing some cosmic entities in there, and the Watcher could be in there as well. So I think that's really what they're implying here. The next one, really glad to hear, and this one's already confirmed. We've already seen photos of him on set. Shang-Chi. Again, with what Lewis Pullman said, each character getting their time and not being in the background. Really excited to hear this because Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was one of my favorite projects to come from the new saga that Marvel Studios put out after Endgame, the Multiverse saga. Also, No Way Home. I think this is going to be a pretty big one. Now, I know this list is talking specifically about Avengers Doomsday, but I think it also implies for Avengers Secret Wars as well. We've actually been hearing that all three Spider-Men are going to get reunited in Avengers Secret Wars. Now, No Way Home is interesting because as far as we're concerned, we're not going to see Tom Holland in Avengers Doomsday. We are reportedly going to see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in Avengers Doomsday in the beginning, which is awesome. But I also think the implications of the spell and the universe kind of breaking at the end of No Way Home are going to have some pretty big implications in Avengers Doomsday. I wouldn't be surprised if they unintentionally, of course, cause some incursions to happen, and Doctor Doom exposes that. So No Way Home, definitely a big one. The next two, Doctor Strange 1 and Doctor Strange 2. Both very important. I would have to say Doctor Strange 2 is one of the more, if not most important, one of the most important movies that you probably need to watch before Avengers Doomsday. It talks a lot about incursions. It specifically talks about how Doctor Strange is the biggest threat to the multiverse according to the Illuminati. And we've actually heard that Doctor Strange and his variants throughout the multiverse have been causing actual incursions. And I do believe this leads to Doctor Strange joining Doctor Doom. We'll have to wait and see, but it really does seem like that's going to be the case. Now, the next one, Ms. Marvel. The Young Avengers are said to have a minor role in Avengers Doomsday, but a bigger role to play in Avengers Secret Wars. And we have seen leaked concept art of the Young Avengers for Avengers Secret Wars as well. So yes, watching Ms. Marvel to get acquainted with Kamala Khan is probably pretty important. Thor 4. Some might not like hearing this because this is Thor Love and Thunder, right? Despite the movie being what it was and a lot of people not really liking it, it did have some pretty important roles in it. We did actually see Valhalla, kind of. We physically saw it. We didn't see many people, just Heimdall and Jane Foster, but we saw it. Well, we saw Eternity. So like I mentioned before, cosmic entities are rumored, nothing confirmed, but are rumored to be appearing in Avengers Doomsday / Secret Wars. And if the multiverse is on the brink of collapse, and there's a sole person responsible for that, and that would be Doctor Doom, it would make sense that the cosmic entities would try and interfere. So Thor 4, if you have to rewatch it again. And if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Just know that Thor is going to be different in Avengers Doomsday. They've already showed us that with the trailer. Thor is going to be very different. The next one, some might not like hearing this, but She-Hulk. This, I think, remains to be seen. I think the character She-Hulk will remain in the MCU, and if they're going to recast the actress, they might do that. We've heard a lot of stuff, nothing, of course, confirmed. A lot of drama going around there because the actress Tatiana Maslany said, cancel your Disney Plus subscriptions when the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing went down. Who knows what's going to happen there, but She-Hulk, I would say if there is one that you really don't need to watch, it would probably be this one, because I don't think you have to know too much about her character in order to know kind of her involvement. She is the cousin of Bruce Banner. There you go. I think that's what you need. If you want to rewatch it, go ahead. If you haven't, go ahead, but I don't think it's necessary. Black Panther 2. This is pretty interesting because of the report that we are going to eventually get a new Black Panther in Avengers Secret Wars. But we've already gotten the Wakanda / Talokan trailer for Avengers Doomsday. So very clearly, to know what happened in Black Panther 2 is going to be very important going into Avengers Doomsday. That's a given. This one is kind of makes me like sigh a little bit. Ant-Man 3, because this could have been done so differently. So differently. We learned all about Kang and his conquering or attempt to conquer the multiverse and the Council of Kangs. Now, ultimately, this was all scrapped. I do think they're going to take a lot of the concepts that they showed us in Ant-Man 3 with Kang and basically bring them into Doctor Doom. Bring them into his story. Now, I'm always hoping that they're going to wrap up Kang's story. And yes, at the end of Loki season 2, it's basically shown that the TVA can kind of take care of it and some Avengers can kind of take care of it. But at the same time, I feel like we need something bigger. But the implications of this movie comes down to Ant-Man's knowledge. And I believe that knowledge that he got of Kang and everything that he learned is going to come into play in Avengers Doomsday. The next one is the Marvels. This is actually one of the more important ones that you need to watch. I would specifically say the ending in the post-credit scene, because Monica Rambeau ends up in another universe, and the post-credit scene shows us that she is actually in the X-Men universe. That's pretty big. So yeah, this one's going to be important. And from what we've heard, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is actually, she has been since that movie, searching for a way to go and find Monica Rambeau. So that's going to come into play in Avengers Doomsday. This one is, just rewatch this one if you haven't, because it's awesome. And if you haven't watched it, I suggest watching it. Deadpool and Wolverine. I think the Void is going to be one of the biggest keys for not only Avengers Doomsday, but also Avengers Secret Wars. I think the Void is probably going to be somewhat of a life raft from the comics, where they go to the Void to survive the destruction of the multiverse and the creation of Battleworld. That's a big one, because whoever's on Battleworld when Doctor Doom creates it probably isn't going to remember anything that happened before Battleworld, because that's how it is in the comics. Unless they were on a life raft, they did remember. And I think the Void will basically be the life raft. So very important to watch. Agatha All Along. This was a surprisingly great show to me. I actually really liked it. I'm not so sure if we're supposed to watch this because of Agatha or because of Billy, to be perfectly honest. And no context is really given here. It's just a list. I would like Agatha to return at some point in time. I think the supernatural side would be perfect for her to return in the MCU, but that's after Secret Wars, when we get the Midnight Suns and Mephisto and such. But the Young Avengers, again, are going to play a small role in Doomsday, but then a big role in Secret Wars. Wiccan, or Billy, the son, one of the sons of the Scarlet Witch, he's obviously one of the main characters of Agatha All Along. So to learn about him and the connection to Wanda, you should watch Agatha All Along, because it looks like that's going to come into play in Doomsday, and then even more in Secret Wars. Captain America 4. Yeah, you're going to have to watch this, because as of right now, Sam Wilson should be the leader of the new Avengers team. We don't quite know who is involved with that new Avengers team, but he is the leader of it right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if his team combines with the Thunderbolts, and he's basically the leader or the co-leader with Yelena or Bucky over just the overall Avengers team. And despite the actual team that he's in charge of right now, when everyone comes together, he is going to be one of the leaders. So you definitely need to know what's going on with Sam. Same thing goes for the Thunderbolts. That's obviously one listed right here. Yeah, you kind of have to know what happened there. Plus that post-credit scene is really important as well. Ironheart. I'm actually kind of surprised to hear this one. I don't know if this is implying that the character Ironheart herself is going to be in Doomsday. She could be a part of the Young Avengers team, maybe, which means she could also be in Secret Wars. But I'm also curious if this is about Mephisto or not, because we know Marvel has big plans for Mephisto. We also know that Doctor Doom's going to have some people behind him, and there is a really big connection with Mephisto and Doctor Doom. It's not the best connection. I wouldn't say Doctor Doom likes Mephisto. I would actually say the opposite. Mephisto literally holds his mother in hell, but there's a connection there. So it could be Ironheart, it could be Mephisto, could be both. Who knows? Fantastic Four First Steps. You obviously have to watch this one. This is one of the big ones as well, because you have to know who the Fantastic Four are and their dynamic, this new specific dynamic. And that post-credit scene, obviously, that's the last thing that we got, and that is directly, I mean, it shows us Doom and doesn't show us his face, but shows us the cloak and the mask. Obviously very important, and you have to know about Franklin Richards. He's going to play a big role in Doomsday and Secret Wars as well. This one's kind of surprising, but I'm not fighting it. Wonder Man. I think this really could only imply that Wonder Man himself might appear in Avengers Doomsday. And this is on the list of what to watch, so it seems like he will appear. I was pleasantly surprised with that show. And again, I don't think the DODC is going to play too big of a role in Doomsday. It will in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So that probably means that Wonder Man is going to play a role, maybe not a huge role, but a role in Doomsday. This one is a given, but what's interesting about it is I don't think you'll see any of these characters in Avengers Doomsday. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Based on what we know, Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Sadie Sink's character, who I do believe is Jean Grey, are not appearing in are not appearing in Avengers Doomsday. We have confirmation that Sadie Sink is appearing in Avengers Secret Wars, and we have concept art showing the Hulk in Avengers Secret Wars. that leaked. And we've heard that the three Spider-Men are going to reunite in Secret Wars, but nothing about these characters in Doomsday. I do believe Spider-Man Brand New Day happens at the same time as Doomsday. And sure, you should watch it, and maybe the post-credit scene has something to do with Doomsday. That could be a big one. Or maybe at the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day, they show them maybe on Battleworld. Maybe you jump forward a little bit. Unsure, but I'm assuming if you're going to be there for Doomsday, you're going to be there for Spider-Man Brand New Day. This one, Vision Quest. Really curious to see this one. Ultron returns. I wonder if he's going to be a villain in Doomsday following Doom, or Secret Wars as well, maybe being a Baron over a territory. But Vision is returning in this, and we did see that concept art for Secret Wars of Vision with Star-Lord, which I'm dying to know what that's about because it looks like it's probably going to be pretty funny. So that's coming out soon. Can't wait to watch that. And then the next four are just, they have soft spots in my heart and probably most of y'all's as well. But X-Men 2, not X-Men 1, but X-Men 2, probably because of the... Cut that. That's the... I don't remember that. So X-Men 2, X-Men The Last Stand, which, yeah, that's a big one. I think you need to watch these because of the relationship with Magneto and Professor X, plus, you know, obviously being introduced to some of these characters. And then, of course, the Phoenix, Jean Grey. That might be important. And then Days of Future Past. That one's going to be really big because I think what happened with the Days of Future Past is they created a new timeline. The X-Men are basically the same, but it's a little bit different because they obviously changed the past to create a new future. And those are the X-Men that we are going to see in Avengers Doomsday. I think those are the X-Men that we saw in the Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer. The X-Men will return. And last but not least, this is really 3, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 through 3. So Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Cannot wait to see Tobey return once again. Now, it said he's going to have a scene in the beginning of Avengers Doomsday. Sounds like it's going to be pretty quick, but he will then have a major role to play in Avengers Secret Wars. And again, we've talked about the 3 Spider-Men reuniting once again. And think about it. We're going to get Tobey Maguire on screen with Hugh Jackman. They're going to fight and then come together and fight together. It's going to be crazy. At least that's what the reports say. So this is a list of all the movies that are apparently obligatory to watch and to get the most of, is what I will say, for Avengers Doomsday. Now, in all honesty, to get the most of Avengers Doomsday, you should probably just watch almost everything. Perhaps everything isn't going to kind of, you know, be compiled into Avengers Doomsday. But it sounds like each character, based on that interview that Lewis Pullman had, will get some spotlight. In some way, shape, or form, they will get some spotlight. So this list, I would definitely say watch. But if you're up for it, I would just say kind of rewatch everything to get the most of it. We have basically still almost a year left. We're in March now, so not a full year, but we have a lot of time now. So if you started now, you can knock a few of these out a month and be okay for Avengers Doomsday to get the most out of it. What would be your favorite movie on this list? I would love to know that in the comments down below. And what are you looking forward to most in Avengers Doomsday? Let us know. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers Doomsday news. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.